What's up, Facebook? It's your boy Trey Larkins with Wise Guys Sports. Everybody go follow Wise Guys on Twitter at Wise Guys underscore H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. Want to come on here and recap game 4 of the Western Conference Finals as OKC beats Minnesota last night in game 4, 128 to 126. The Thunder lead 3-1 over the Timberwolves. For the Thunder, SGA, he finished with 40 points, shot 13 of 30 from the floor, had 10 assists. Jalen Williams had a tremendous performance. He had 34 points, shot 13 of 24 from the floor. And Shep Holmgren had 22 points for OKC. For the Timberwolves, Ant-Man finished with 16 points. Julius Randle finished with only 5 points. So, for me, my biggest takeaway from game 4 was how I was honestly surprised that Minnesota lost this game because they had tremendous performances from their role players in this game. Dante DiVincenzo, Jaden McDaniels, and Alexander Walker combined for 64 points. I'm sorry, 66 points. They combined for 66 points. And the Timberwolves bench with DiVincenzo and Nas Reed and Alexander Walker, they combined for 64 points. So the Timberwolves lost this game because their stars in Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards did not show up. Because I thought their role players played great. They played great in this game. And when you get performances from Jaden McDaniels, Alexander Walker, Nas Reed, and Dante DiVincenzo, when you get performances like that from your role players, 9 times out of 10, your team will win that particular game. But Ant-Man and Julius Randle did not show up last night. And by the way, I was going to come on here last night and recap game 4, but I was exhausted from a long day, spending time with family on Memorial Day. But I thought last night the biggest reason why the Timberwolves lost that game was because Ant-Man and Randall combined for only 21 points. So I felt like they struggled. And I thought the OKC Thunder, from a defensive standpoint, once again, they showed why they are the best defensive team in the NBA. They showed why they are the best defensive team in the NBA. And I thought they sent multiple defenders Anthony Edwards' way all night long. From Wallace to Jalen Williams to Lou Dort to Alex Caruso. And then when he got to the rim, Chet Holmgren was also waiting on Anthony Edwards. So I want to give a ton of credit to Mark Daigneault and the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are 1 win away from the NBA Finals, and they had a great defensive performance on Anthony Edwards specifically. Now, the role players for the Wolves were able to be effective, but not their stars in Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. So OKC, once again, had a great defensive performance against the opposing team star, and they got some great performances from their trio in SGA, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren. And I want to give a big shout out to Jalen Williams because coming into the playoffs, one of my biggest questions for OKC was, will Jalen Williams elevate his game and emerge as a solid star that you can get to the NBA Finals with? We've seen in recent years where the Dallas Mavericks, they were able to get to the NBA Finals with Kyrie Irving as their second option. The Boston Celtics, they were able to get to the NBA Finals with Jaylen Brown as their second option. The Denver Nuggets were able to get to the NBA Finals with Jamal Murray as their second option. And so one of my biggest questions coming into the playoffs for OKC was, will Jalen Williams emerge as a reliable second option on this OKC team? And Jalen Williams has answered the call in a major, major way. 34 points last night, shot 13 of 24 from the floor. And I thought Jalen Williams made some key shots last night. Every time it looked as if Minnesota had an opportunity to get it to a one possession game, Jalen Williams made timely buckets for OKC. And I was impressed with Jalen Williams last night. I really, really was. And I feel like in game 7 against the Nuggets in the conference semifinals, he stepped up. And yesterday in game 4, when OKC needed a bucket, not only were they able to go to SGA, but they also went to Jalen Williams. So a big shout out to Jalen Williams. And I thought OKC's trio of SGA, Williams, and Chet Holmgren all balled out last night. They all balled out. And unlike Minnesota, to me, the biggest difference in the game was OKC's stars showed up and Minnesota stars did not show up. That was the biggest difference in the game because Minnesota had some great performances from their role players. The Timberwolves role players played great last night. Dante DiVincenzo, Jaden McDaniels, Alexander Walker, they all played great last night. Again, DiVincenzo, Alexander Walker, and McDaniels all combined for 66 points last night. And the Wolves bench combined for 64 points last night. There is no way in hell you should lose a game in which your role players perform the way that the Timberwolves role players performed last night at home. There's no way in hell you should lose that type of game. So, to me, Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle are the biggest reasons why OKC beat Minnesota last night and are one game away from the NBA Finals. Even if Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle play average games, Minnesota wins that game last night. Despite SGA, despite Jalen Williams, despite Chet Holmgren, if Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle specifically, he was terrible last night. He was terrible. I think he only had 5 points, shot 1 of 6 from the floor, and Julius Randle has been inconsistent in this Western Conference Finals. He had a tremendous game 1 and game 3, but in games 2 and games 4, he was awful. And I thought he was honestly a part of why the biggest reason why that OKC won last night. But like I said, man, I thought the defenders for OKC, they sent multiple players in the direction of Anthony Edwards all game long. All game long. Wallace, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, Alex Caruso. And again, Edwards, even once he got past his initial defender, he had Chet Holmgren waiting on him at the rim. So nothing came easy for Anthony Edwards. But I'm not going to make no excuses for Anthony Edwards because we don't make excuses for stars. If you are an Anthony Edwards, if you are a Jalen Brunson, if you are an SGA, if you are a Tyrese Halliburton, a Jason Tatum, a Nikola Jokic, we don't want to hear excuses when you're a star. If you are an NBA star, figure it out. And last night, Anthony Edwards was not able to figure out the Thunder's elite defense. He had 16 points, shot 5 of 13 from the floor, 1 of 7 from 3-point range, that's not going to get it done against an elite OKC basketball team that's been the best team in the NBA in the regular season, and so far they've been the best team here in the postseason. But again, I thought the biggest reason why OKC won was because OKC's stars in their trio and SGA, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren significantly outplayed the Timberwolves stars and Edwards and Randall. And from a defensive standpoint, they made it tough on Edwards, and Edwards was not able to ever really get comfortable. I don't feel like Anthony Edwards ever really got comfortable last night in game 4, and he struggled majority of the game. He finished with 16 points on 5 of 13 shooting, but only 1 of 7 from 3-point range. But again, I was just surprised that Minnesota lost that game, despite how great the trio of SGA, Holmgren, and Williams played, because their role players almost carried them home. With Jaden McDaniels, Alexander Walker, and Dante DiVincenzo, and Naz Reid had an average game as well. I thought their role players almost saved the day for the Timberwolves and saved Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle from subpar performances. That's what's crazy. The Timberwolves role players almost won the game single-handedly. That's the thing. When you get these elite performances from your role players at home, usually 9 times out of 10, that particular team wins that game. It was just amazing to me that the Timberwolves were able to still be in this game without Edwards and Randall contributing much from a scoring standpoint. But they were still in the game because of their great performances from their role players. But for me, I believe moving forward, this series is over. It's over. OKC will be in the NBA Finals. This series will be over Wednesday night in OKC, and the Thunder will be back in the NBA Finals, because this series is not coming back to Minnesota. It's not coming back to Minnesota. And Minnesota, they have been the best team all season long in the regular season. They were the number 1 overall seed in the Western Conference, and they have shown that they are still the team to beat in the NBA playoffs so far. And yes, I came on here last week and I said they're not a top 5 team all time, but they are still a great team in today's NBA. And they have shown that they are the best team, not only in the Western Conference, but in the entire NBA. So big shout out to Mark Daigneault, SGA, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren, and OKC Thunder for punching their ticket to the NBA Finals, because the Western Conference Finals is officially over. OKC will close this series out at home Wednesday night in Oklahoma City and punch their ticket to the NBA Finals. Now, tonight, we got a big-time matchup in Indiana. It's game 4 between the Knicks and the Pacers. The Knicks overcame a 20-point deficit and beat the Pacers in game 3. Cat had a great game with 24 points, 20 points in the fourth quarter. Cat had a tremendous performance in game 3. And if Cat can duplicate his game 3 performance in his game into game 4, I think the Knicks got a shot. Western Conference Finals is over. Facts. It's over. It's over, Wolves fans. It's over. I think OKC is going to close out the Wolves Wednesday night in Oklahoma City, and OKC will punch their ticket back to the NBA Finals. So I agree. I think the Western Conference Finals is over as well. Only thing left now is going to be who's going to win between the Knicks and the Pacers. I still think the Pacers have the better team overall, but if Cat continues to play at an elite level like he played in game 3, the Knicks could get back into this series, folks. Thunder always answers the call. And this year, OKC has definitely been the best team throughout the regular season, and they have been the best team in the Western Conference. They were challenged against the Denver Nuggets, though. We're not going to sit up here and act like OKC just ran through the West. They were challenged in the conference semifinals by Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, but they were able to bring it home in Game 7 in OKC. But the only question now is about who's going to win between the Knicks and the Pacers. I do think the Pacers have the better team. Pacers do have a better team. They just got to close games. Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I thought in Game 3, like, it was weird because I thought in Game 3 the Pacers had the Knicks exactly where they wanted them. The Pacers went up 55-35 over the Knicks in the first half, and I'm thinking the Knicks are on the cusp of going down 3-0, and this series is also officially over, and the Pacers are going to the NBA Finals. When the Pacers went up 20, I was thinking, okay, Indiana is going to the NBA Finals. Spike Lee, Walt Frazier, Melo, J.R. Smith, Tracy Morgan, all those Knicks fans were going to be highly disappointed. Stephen A. Smith, and all of a sudden, the Knicks got back into the game in the second half, and specifically the Knicks bench. I can't believe I'm saying it. Tom Thibodeau, who has a short rotation and usually does not even play 7 or 8 or 9 guys deep into his bench. He went deep into his bench in Game 3, and it paid off for Tibbs and the New York Knicks. Bringing in Landry Shamet, Miles McBride, Josh Hart. He didn't start in Game 3. He came off the bench, and they helped the Knicks get back into the game against the Pacers. The thing about the Knicks is, do I believe the New York Knicks are as talented as the Indiana Pacers are? No. Do I believe the New York Knicks are as talented as the Minnesota Timberwolves are? No. Do I believe the Knicks are as talented as OKC is? No. But the Knicks have a dynamic duo with Brunson and Cat when Cat is playing at an elite level. And the Knicks do the little things very, very well. The Knicks, you might get out to a double-digit lead on the Knicks at the beginning of a quarter and may even control majority of the quarter midway through. But the New York Knicks do a tremendous job at ending quarters well. And that's one thing I've noticed about these NBA playoffs. These NBA playoff games are long. They are long. And the Knicks end quarters extremely well. I think the Knicks ended the second quarter on a 10-3 run. They ended the third quarter on a 7-2 run. And they ended the fourth quarter on a 8-2 run. So the Knicks end quarters extremely well. And that's why they stay in games. No, the Knicks don't have as much talent as the Pacers or the Thunder or the Timberwolves, but they are well coached and they are a mentally tough basketball team. Seriously, the Knicks have 3 20-point comebacks this postseason. That's the most in franchise history. Might be the most in NBA history. 3 20-point comebacks in a single postseason is an amazing feat for Tom Thibodeau and his New York Knicks. And the thing is, Jalen Brunson didn't even play great in Game 3. Jalen Brunson only shot 6 of 18 from the floor. He didn't play great. But Cat was tremendous in that fourth quarter. It didn't matter who the Pacers threw Cat's way, whether it was Miles Turner, whether it was Pascal Siakam, whether it was Naismith. It did not matter. Cat had the answers and answered the call in a major, major way for the New York Knicks. I have absolutely nothing negative to say about Karl Anthony Towns after that elite Game 3 performance. Seriously. Cat had 20 points in the fourth quarter of Game 3. That's the most points he's ever scored in the fourth quarter in his career. So big shout out to Karl Anthony Towns. Big shout out to Jalen Brunson and Tom Thibodeau and the New York Knicks. We'll see if they can get back into this series tonight in Indiana and go back to the Garden in Game 5 with tied at 2 games apiece. We'll see. But the Western Conference Finals is over. OKC will be representing the West in the NBA Finals. We just got to figure out what's going to happen between the Knicks and the Pacers. I think whoever wins tonight probably wins this series tonight. Wins the series. So whoever wins tonight probably is more than likely will win the series. But everybody go follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And also, don't forget, Monday, June the 2nd, it's the Not Boxed In podcast with myself and Cincinnati Bearcats legend Melvin Levitt at Park Place in Forest Park. It's the Not Boxed In podcast. Me and Melvin will be discussing all the latest in sports news, and more than likely, we'll be discussing and previewing the NBA Finals on the Not Boxed In podcast Monday, June the 2nd at Park Place, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So I'm Trey Larkin signing off. I'm going to go come on tonight and recap Knicks Pacers tonight. Y'all enjoy yourself on this Tuesday, May the 26th.